everyone has the ability to hear the information presented by our speaker. Everyone will be on mute during the webinar. During the presentation, feel free to write in any questions you have using the Q&A link on the webinar menu. Then, at the end of the presentation, we will take some time to go through these. With that said, I'd like to introduce our speaker, Devin Duex, Vice President of Client Relations here at Pensionmark. Devin will be demonstrating the enhanced features of the website and will be highlighting the investor and employer education centers, which include comprehensive tools for your continued financial education and success. These tools include financial calculators, newsletters, articles, webcasts, educational videos, and more that are designed to keep you on track for retirement. I would really like to thank Devin for taking the time to get on this call with us. And with that being said, Devin, I'll now turn it over to you.
Thank you, Christine. Good morning, everybody. And thank you for taking some time to be with us this morning to go over this really exciting tool. We've been spending quite a bit of time getting this together. I think many of you know, as we've come out and done meetings, we've been talking about this new tool we have, this educational resource, and we're very excited to roll it out to everybody in this official webinar this morning. The first thing I just want to mention, and you can see here on my screen, this is the website. It's pensionmark.com. Just a quick reminder of our organization for anyone listening, be it a plan sponsor, employer, or a participant. We are an independent advisory firm. We've been around for over 20 years. One exciting piece of news about us, and you can see this under the About Us tab here at the top, is we've actually been growing. Our corporate office is here located in Santa Barbara, California. And you can see we've also got offices all over the country noted by these different stars. So we've been busy growing and expanding and being able to provide service not only here in California but now across the map. So pretty excited to have that service for you as a participant and employer and again to just strengthen our network and our ability to provide top quality services to you as participants and again also to the plan in general. So if you have any questions, a couple just high-level things with our website. You can see directly from the home page, right here to the right, you've got a box that says questions about your retirement plan. So before you even go anywhere inside this website, if you have any questions and maybe you've misplaced our information, maybe we came out and did a meeting for you, you met one of our representatives, you maybe even got the card that we handed out but somehow just misplaced that, just remember that you have the ability to go online and go directly to this box here and get our phone number or even just click on this link right here, questions about your retirement plan, and it takes you to this page where you can simply fill out your question and send it in directly to Pensionmark. And in this drop-down box you can designate who your question is coming from, the investor point of view, or maybe you're coming from the plan sponsor or employer point of view, your name, email, phone number if you would like us to call you back, and the best time to call you back as well, or the best method. If you prefer email, please list that there. And then you can write your question in the text box. Simply select the Done button at the bottom when you've got that all filled in, and that will be sent to our call center here at the corporate office. Your question will be answered in that same day. So if you have any questions, again, if you've forgotten the information of how to contact us, you can simply now use our website to get those questions addressed, either calling us or going on through this Contact Us page. So just wanted to point that out. That box stays illuminated regardless of where you are in our website, so you'll always be able to access us to ask those questions. So let's say you're going through something in the website and it perks a question for you. You can just go to that box and click the button here, fill out the question, and send it in. So very easy. Again, we wanted to try to make it very easy to access our call center, our resources, our licensed representatives so that you can get your assistance along the way. I'd say the main feature we serve for you as a participant in the plan is to be here as a resource to you. The practice of growing your balance and getting prepared for retirement and even moving into the retirement phase is somewhat overwhelming. There's a lot of things to consider, and we really want to be here throughout that process. there to answer those questions, to provide you that education, to make sure you're making the right decisions for you so that when you get to retirement, you know that you've got everything in order and you can have the retirement that you've planned for. So again, that question box is going to become very valuable moving forward. Right below that, you'll see education highlights. I'm just going to click back to the home page. Again, the education highlights, the questions and answers box, also the indices, if you like to follow the market, all of that's going to stay illuminated regardless of where you go throughout our website. So we wanted to keep some things available to you at all times, regardless of where you are. Some things that we think are very important. The educational highlights are new tools that we're rolling out, maybe that quarter, maybe it's that week, and these will continue to change and be updated so that they're very topical, very up-to-date, and very informational. I'm going to go in a little bit deeper so you can see what else we have available to you, but just pointing out here on the home page some of the high-level things that you can see. Again, right below that is the indices. For those of you who like to follow the market, we've got the S&P 500, so your most widely held, 500 most widely held companies, the best indication of the stock market right there for you, right at your fingertips. The Russell 2KG, the CMT index, and then our favorite best friend, we have gold. We tried to remove that. Obviously, as you know, we're retirement planning advisors and not stock trading account advisors, so we're looking at long-term planning. So the other three are probably more valuable and more appropriate for you in your long-term planning. So these are some things you have high level to you. I'm going to go to the tabs at the top. You can see there's a lot of different ways to kind of go through our website. You've got the tabs at the top, these services, about us, in the news, education center, and then down in the middle of the page you can see we separated out for companies, individuals, and not-for-profits. So for you as a participant, we would be looking at the individual. Under the Education Center, I'll get to that in a second, you'd also be looking at the Investor Education Center, which we'll hold on to that and get to that in a minute. The other piece I just want to point out is in the news. The In the News tab is really information about Pensionmark. Again, we're constantly trying to better ourselves, to grow our business so that, again, we can provide you better services, be available to you in more locations. And we want to, again, put those things here so you can see some of the highlights from our year and over the years to come. We've also got some press releases listed there, so if you're interested to see some of the changes we've had or some of the exciting things happening at Pensionmark, you can always look there. And then moving on to the Education Center. This is really the meat and potatoes of what we've been working on. We've been spending a lot of time and energy really trying to make sure we have a very detailed and robust education center for you as a participant. We also have one for the employer. I'm going to go through the participant because a lot of the materials are very similar. But for participants, we know that you all have a provider website, and your provider website has a lot of materials for you as well. But what we wanted to try to do here under the Pensionmark website was give you something that was streamlined, regardless of maybe what provider you have. Maybe you have different accounts, maybe you have an IRA and a 401k, and you have different providers. We wanted to have something that had everything all in one. Also, what we wanted to try to do was have a place to collect information that we send out to you on an ongoing basis so that you can access it throughout the year. So this is the culmination of that effort. We're very excited to have this here for you. Then I'm just going to walk through each section, and I am going to show you a few different items. If you have any questions, or maybe you want us to go into anything in more detail, please feel free to send those questions over and we can address those. But I am just going to spend some time on each section showing you just a representation of what each section is about. So the first area is the newsletters. And the newsletters are different items that we might send to you throughout the year, primarily electronically. Your organization may print these out. They may distribute them or post them up somewhere. But these are items that you may see throughout the year, and we're going to collect them here on a website so you can access them at any time. If you're interested in signing up for the newsletters, maybe you're not receiving them directly, you can always do that at any time. Feel free to send us your information. You can do that through the questions about your retirement plan. You can send it directly through the webcast today. We'd be happy to sign you up for any of these newsletters I'm about to talk about so that you can receive them directly to the email of your choosing. So the first newsletter is our Reinventing Retirement Quarterly newsletter. And this is, I'm going to go into the most recent quarter. This is high-level items that are related to retirement planning. A very great piece, very topical. You can see in this article right here, we're talking about savings and income and some things to think about as you get closer to retiring. Gives you a sample budgetary spreadsheet here that you can go through. We've got talking about emergency funds, so getting your debt and savings in order. And then we've also got a little bit of a conversation about returns and emotional investing and things to think about that relate to your plan. So this newsletter is really geared to be a high-level piece, bring you some topical pieces of information to hopefully help you, again, as you're looking at your plan and the decisions you make around your account as it relates to maybe the 401k plan and other plans you have. Again, you can sign up for that directly, and you may receive that on a quarterly basis from your company. The next one down from that is called the Market Insight. This is a more detailed look at the market. And so for those of you who are really interested in following the market, this comes out quarterly. It does go into a little more detail around the market itself. It's several pages long and covers the market, the economy. If you haven't been plugging into our webinar series, we also do a webinar on the market every quarter. So if you prefer to hear the information, we have an economist from JP Morgan who does that every quarter, but you can also get a newsletter and go through it this way as well. So if you'd like to sign up for that, this is available for you as well. Again, much more detailed. This is a more detailed piece, but again, very, very good information on the market. Comes out every quarter, and we usually get that out the week that the quarter ends, and we're going into the new quarter. The market outlook piece is more of a high-level look at the year. And so this piece is a little bit longer. It's going to take a second to load here. But this piece is really, really great in sort of looking at everything that maybe the year, what we can expect in the year. So it does take a look at the economy. It looks at the stocks. It breaks it out by asset class, so the stock market, the bond market. We're looking at conservative marketplace. And this piece, again, it's several pages long, about 20 pages long, but gives you some high-level things to think about related to the market and then each asset class moving forward. So again, a nice piece to look at if you are following that type of information for you and your plan. The final piece under the newsletters are just financial wellness quick tips. And you can see we've got quite a few here. I'm just going to pull up a couple that catch my eye. So they're sort of like white papers. Some of them pop right into the screen here. Others open up into a separate window. But regardless, they're very topical, helpful to hopefully help you, get your brain around certain topics. Maybe there's something you've been thinking about. These pieces here are really designed to, again, help get you thinking around that specific topic. Maybe you're looking to do a 529 plan. We've got something on that. Or maybe you're getting closer to retiring and there's some questions that you have. This may be a great place to look first because we've got a lot of questions that typically come up in that process, and we address them here in this piece here. So again, great resource for you to get some of those questions answered. Again, if you prefer just to ask that question directly to a Pensionmark representative, just feel free to contact us versus going through here. But again, just if you do like to have that self-sufficiency and to maybe do a little research on your own, you can see we've been collecting a lot of information here for you to access. So moving into the next section, we're going to get into our financial calculators. And a lot of provider websites have financial calculators, But again, as we looked into putting this website together, we really tried to take the best of the best from different areas and different resources we've used over the years. And again, we've been in existence for over 20 years, so we've had a lot of experience using different resources. So you can see here, we break it down by 4 different categories. We've got planning for retirement, savings and investment, loans and mortgages, and then income tax. And each one expands, so you just click on that little triangle to the left, and each one expands out. And under planning for retirement, I was just going to pull up a couple of them that I've used recently with participants and show you how they work. So the first one is the 401k savings calculator. And this one is really a great tool to help you identify what your savings is doing for you in your overall balance. So this might be a great tool for you to use if you're trying to determine, should I increase my contribution? And what's that going to do to my overall balance? Well, I think generally speaking, we can all agree putting in more money is definitely a benefit to you as you look at your accumulation of your account, getting more money to hopefully earn over time, etc. But this tool really can give you a better snapshot visually of what that means. So let's just go through this as an example. So this person is contributing about 10% of their salary. They make $40,000. You can change that to match your salary. Their current age is 30 years of age. Their current balance is $1,000. Their age of retirement is 65. Again, all these details can be changed. Annual rate of return, we have that at about 7%. And then the expected salary increase is 0. So right now we're just factoring in all things are equal. Nothing's changing with their salary. They're not getting an increase over time. And then they are getting a match, 50 cents on the dollar, up to 6%. You can put that in or take it out depending on your plan. And then down below you can see the chart. The top line is with the match and the bottom line is without the match. And then right above here at the top it does show you your total. So this person would have about $756,477 after 35 years if everything remains the same. So let's say we decide to increase to 15%. So I'm just going to go in and change that to 15%. And everything else stays the same, no salary increase. We're going to keep everything the same, annual rate of return, all that's going to stay the same. And you can see the difference was a pretty significant increase to over $1 million of savings. So you can play around with this based on your situation and really see how changing your contribution can make a difference to your account over time. Then what you can do is click View Report and actually get this into a statement that you can print and save and review further. You know, take this to your meeting. Maybe one of our Pensionmark representatives is going to be coming on site. Print this out, have this available. We also will have accessibility, obviously, to use these tools when we come on site. So we'll be able to utilize these features and tools to help you when we sit down with you directly. But this is a great tool, again, breaks down the results, shows you year over year your growth on your account. So you can see it definitely a benefit here in understanding what your savings and how an increase can make a difference. So going back out to the calculators, we're going to go over, the next one we're going to look at is retirement income. Another popular conversation, will I have enough to retire on? And this is, I think, most of us ask this question, even in the accumulation phase. Am I putting in enough and am I going to have enough to retire on when I get to retirement? So this piece really shows you, and this calculator is really designed to show you your monthly income. And it does make some assumptions. The assumptions can be changed. So I'm going to just walk through the calculator, and obviously we can adjust anything as we go forward. But you can see you have you can put your starting balance in. So this would be what your 401k is currently, or if you have other assets that you want to put into the calculator. Your current age, your rate of return. So you can take your average rate of return, maybe you've seen over time. If you're not sure what that is, you can always go into your website for your account and you can pull your rate of return and you can actually put that in to this calculator. Your current tax rate, inflation rate is about, on average, 2 to 3%. And then annual contributions, what are you actually contributing? That's what that's asking there. Age of retirement, and then the rate of return during retirement. So do you expect to maybe have a different investment strategy? Maybe you're going to have a more conservative approach, and your investment return during retirement you expect to be a little lower. Your tax rate during retirement, do you expect to have lower expenses? Maybe you're going to be pulling out less income, needing less income during retirement. Therefore, your tax rate will be a little bit lower. Or do you expect to have more expenses in retirement? Maybe you have a more elaborate plan for yourself and your retirement tax rate is higher. You'd want to adjust that accordingly. And then your years of retirement. How long do you plan to be in retirement? That will depend on, first, when you take retirement, and then also life expectancy and things like that. The two features at the bottom, you can check off if you want to increase deposits with inflation or if your savings are tax deferred, which if you're using a 401k plan, all of your contributions are typically tax deferred unless your 401k plan allows after tax, and then therefore you may uncheck or check this box accordingly. Down below you can then see the results. So we see before inflation, before you pay tax, here's your monthly income, $4,994. Before inflation, after taxes, and then to the right we see after the inflation. So what is the money worth in today's dollars after we've moved forward 30 years with inflation? And then you can also check these little dots at the bottom, see show monthly income from savings, or we can check it to say, let's see our annual growth of the savings over time. So you can look at this in two different ways. The majority and main use of this calculator is really determine your monthly income. So let's just say we decided to contribute a little bit more. So instead of doing $2,000 a year, we're going to do $6,000 a year. And then instead of 30 years of retirement, we're going to be in retirement for 25. Okay? You can see it does change the outcome here of your overall monthly income. So you can use this again accordingly based on your situation. This does also pull up a report. The report goes through it in more detail. So the savings you can provide shows you the value of the income today, that third line down, $3,034, breaks out all the details we put in the calculator, the value of the savings today at the bottom and right here highlighted, and then goes through sort of an explanation and the balances per year. So a lot of information here. Again, you can save this, look at this year over year, a very valuable tool, again, to determine your monthly income and whether you're on track to retire. Going back to the calculators, the last one I just wanted to point out is Social Security. This is a question a lot of times we address when we go out and talk to individuals. What am I looking at from Social Security? This is a calculator that can help you determine that. Again, that's a changing benefit. It may be different for you depending on your age and so forth. So you can plug in those variables and sort of see what you can potentially expect to receive from Social Security. We've got a lot of other calculators under that Planning for Retirement segment. So you can see required minimum distributions, Roth IRAs, Roth versus traditional, things like that. Moving into the savings and investment section, we've got a lot of different calculators to talk about different areas such as certificates of deposit, college savings. That's a question that we oftentimes hear if you have children or grandchildren. Emergency savings, investment returns, savings, savings goals. And the one I wanted to just show you real quick was the home budget. I think this is a really neat tool to help you identify whether you're on track, maybe you're spending too much in certain areas. A very nice tool to, again, to identify where your money is going, maybe a way to identify things you can pull down so that you have a little bit more to save for your future. You basically click the expenses calculator, and it opens up another window. And in the window, it's going to ask you to fill in all of your expenses. It segments it out by the different areas. So you've got monthly house expenses, so whether you own your house or maybe you rent, your auto payments, credit card payments, things like that. If you have any service charges for your bank, you can include that there. Monthly insurance expenses, so breaking that out by auto, health, life, home, Your utilities are also included here, so electric, sewer, telephone, gas, all of those sorts of things are included here. And then your other monthly expenses. So things like food, travel and entertainment, child care expenses, others, you can include maybe something that isn't in here that you're spending money on. Donations, gas and maintenance, things like that. You'd include all of that in here as your expenses. Click OK when you're finished. And then you move to the next one, the paycheck calculator. This is where you can actually input the information from your pay stub. So your gross amount from your pay, your federal tax withholding in a dollar amount. So it's probably good to take your pay stub and use that to input here so you're not having to guesstimate and things like that. Fill it all in. If you are married, you can include your spouse's information here as well. The drop-down does help you to identify how often you're paid. Biweekly, biweekly or semi-monthly are pretty much the most common ways. And then click OK when you've got that filled in. And then any miscellaneous incomes that might be coming into you that maybe aren't reported on your primary employer. Okay, so you put that there. And then you can see you have a final calculation, monthly expenses, and then what you're left with. You can break it out by income, so you can actually see by a pie chart where everything's going by your income, and then you can show your expenses. Again, you can put this into a report. Very nice snapshot, shows you where you're putting all your money in terms of expenses and what you have coming into you, and then identify what you have left to save. Again, great piece if you're trying to figure out if I should do more into my savings, or maybe you're thinking you don't have the ability to, but if you do this exercise, I would imagine you'll probably identify or illuminate areas where you might potentially be spending on maybe those want-tos, those extra things that maybe you can pull back a little bit and put towards your savings for the future. So going back out to the calculators, the final one I just wanted to mention, we've got the loans and mortgages and then the income taxes. The mortgage qualifier, if you are looking to buy a home, this is a really nice calculator that can help you sort of figure out what you can afford. The most important thing when you're looking at buying a home is making sure you get into something that you can afford, and that's not going to really put you in jeopardy of having some sort of extreme financial emergency if something changes in your financial picture. So this is a really great tool. You can put in your annual income. You can adjust this down at the bottom here where it says calculate based on. You can adjust it to calculate based on your income or the purchase price or the monthly payment. So it depends on how you want to look at this, how you want to try to figure it out. If you're really trying to determine how much you can afford, you could do it based on your income. If you really want to look at the purchase price and then all the other variables would be aligned accordingly, you can do it that way. Or if you really want to look at what you can afford per month, you can put that in and everything else will adjust. The things in gray will adjust automatically accordingly based on everything else you fill in. So you can fill in the interest rate, the term of the loan that you're looking at, maybe the down payment that you have available to you, home insurance, all the details that are included in that, and get a final result for yourself. So again, just wanted to point that out because that is, very popular question right now is whether or not to buy a home, can I afford that? And we do have a calculator to help you address that. Underneath of that, we've got all of our articles, and we've collected a very big library of different articles. I'm not going to go through all of them. As you can see, we have quite a few, but they are separated out by 401k rollovers, annual planning, life changes, education planning, financial parenting, financial planning, fixed income, insurance planning and annuities, IRAs, mutual funds and stocks, retirement planning life stages, and women investors. And each one expands, and you can pull out different articles to help you with maybe different topics related to those. So again, further going into maybe college planning, if that's something that's on your mind, or maybe you're really looking at your overall picture, and so you go into something here under financial planning. How much of a mortgage can you afford? So maybe you pull this out, read this paper, and then go and look at that calculator. So there's a lot of different ways you can utilize these articles. But again, we're just going to continue to collect a library for you to access as a participant or as an employer to help, again, on this topic of retirement planning. Below that, we've got our webcast. So every month, we run a webinar series. So for over the 12 months, we have one per month on different topics that we talk about throughout the year. Each quarter, we're talking about the market, and that's this J.P. Morgan Guide to the Markets and Economy. We record these webinars, and we're going to post them here on the website for you to access. So if you're getting those webinar invites, and maybe you haven't been able to attend one, but it's been something very important to you and you really feel like you wanted to get that information, we're going to post that webinar here for you to access at any time. So we'll be sending out another communication following the webinar when this is up and available. So please feel free to keep checking back, looking at these webcasts. They're all recorded. They're usually anywhere between a half an hour to an hour, the different topics that we go through. But you can see here in just the ones we have presented at this point, a lot of different topics from asset allocation to budgeting to credit, retirement ready or not. So for those of you getting closer to retirement, things to think about as you're getting into the planning phases, and everything in between. So all that's collected here. Underneath of that are the educational videos, and these are not really going to change. These aren't live recorded webcasts like the ones I just mentioned. These are actually produced videos on different topics. These are a lot shorter, usually about 2 to 5 minutes in length. So if you wanted to get some information maybe on asset allocation, and instead of reading an article about it, you just want to watch a quick video, you can access that information here as well. We've got everything from asset allocation to basics of the plan, things to think about if you want to take a loan, because there are some definite considerations to accessing your money while you're accumulating it for a loan. So things like that. Also market commentaries, and we do have these available in Spanish as well. So right below that, the last thing I just wanted to mention is you can stay connected to Pensionmark through different social media. We have a Facebook page. We've also got Twitter and LinkedIn. If you like to follow or do any of these types of resources, if you're on LinkedIn, feel free to get attached to us there. If you have Twitter, feel free to follow us there. And then you can also stay connected on Facebook. Very simple. You can click on those links, and it'll help you get connected with Pensionmark. We push out a lot of our communication that way as well. So if you prefer that over email, that's a great way to stay informed and up to date on what's happening in the industry and related to retirement planning. So with that, that's pretty much our new website. You can see we're very excited about it. We will be keeping this up to date as we have new material pushed out and created. Up-to-date information will be saved there. All of our webcasts, as I said, will be saved there as well. So feel free to visit it throughout the year. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send those over. I'm going to open it up just for a minute here, Christine.
Thank you, Devin. That was very insightful information. We will now start addressing some of the questions that have been filtering in. Please remember that if you have any questions, you can submit them using the Q&A tool on the webinar menu. As always, for any plan-specific questions, you can always reach out to your dedicated service team here at Pensionmark. As we wait for questions to filter in, I would like to take a minute to let everyone know, as Devin mentioned, that Pensionmark is now on social media. So if you would like to keep up to date on retirement-related news and events, please like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and connect with us on LinkedIn. We will also be posting the replay of this webinar on our website, as Devin mentioned. So if you'd like to view the replay, please visit the Investor Education Center at www.pensionmark.com. And I think we'll just take a few minutes to wait for questions to start filtering in. All right, looks like we have one question. Says, what's the difference on the plan sponsor side?
Great question. So I will take a minute and just show you that really briefly. For those of you that are on the webinar that are plan sponsors or employers, there's a lot of similarities between the two sides, between the participant and the employer. Obviously, the main difference is the materials are geared towards things to think about as an employer of the plan or as a plan sponsor. We also have the same newsletters, so the newsletters are really similar. The only difference is the plan sponsor newsletter down below here that I'm going to open up are really geared towards employers who are sponsoring a plan, so things to think about on regulations and compliance around these plans, things like that. Under the articles, same thing. We have a lot of materials here to talk about fiduciary responsibility, compliance around the plan, making sure you're looking at all the items that, again, we work with you as advisor on the plan as well, but accessible to you throughout the year. We also have a section on not-for-profit for those of our clients that are nonprofit organizations. We have materials geared just towards nonprofits, so we have a whole section on that as well. And then the webcasts, as you know, we do specific webcasts just for employers or plan sponsors, and those are going to be hosted here instead of under the investor side. So anything that's directly related to you as an employer or plan sponsor, our webcasts will be hosted here for you to view throughout the year. If you did miss something, maybe you wanted to see, the webcast we had on fee disclosure and what do you think about next, or fiduciary responsibility, those will be hosted here for you to view anytime. The educational videos also pretty similar. We're going to have a lot of overlap between educational videos, but we are going to be starting to build a library of different tools for you as a plan sponsor through some educational videos as well. And then the calculators are pretty much the same as what you had on the investor side. So we are going to have a little bit of overlap, but the majority of the material here under the employer side is really geared towards you to look at on the compliance, the fiduciary items, things to think about as you go through your day-to-day on the plan.
Great. Thank you, Devin. We're just going to take a few more seconds here to see if any more questions filter in. So just give a couple more minutes. All right, doesn't look like we have any more questions coming in. So thank you, Devin, and that will conclude our question and answer period. If anyone has any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to your dedicated service team here at Pensionmark. I thank you all for joining us today, and once again, Devin, I would like to thank you for taking the time to present today. This now concludes the webinar. Thank you.